using try and catch. Here I have picked the same program which you have discussed previously. Let us see this program in much deeper way. Before that, let me ask few questions with respect to this program. That is, which statement is throwing exception? Who is throwing exception? Where exception is thrown? What type of exception is thrown? And who is catching the exception? Let me answer each question one by one. First question, which statement is throwing exception? Can you tell answer for this? The statement int a equal to 42 divided by d is throwing exception. I think this we have discussed in previous topic, right? Second question, who is throwing exception? It is the Java runtime system that is throwing exception. Question number 3, where exception is thrown? It is thrown in main method. Since the statement int a equal to 42 divided by d, which is causing exception, is present in main method, right? Yeah. Next, question number 4. What type of exception is thrown? Arithmetic exception, which is subclass of exception, is thrown because division by 0 is an arithmetic error. One important thing I would like to highlight here, that any exception that is thrown in the method is an object representing that exception. With respect to our program, it is an object of type arithmetic exception, right? Question number 5. Who is catching the exception? Since in a program we are not catching any exception inside the main method, by default the default handler is going to catch the exception. If default handler catches the exception, the program halts its execution. Therefore, exception that is thrown in the main method needs to be handled. Now, the question is how to handle the exception, that is arithmetic exception, which is thrown in the main method. It can be handled using try and catch block. Now, how to use this try and catch block? The block of statements which we want to monitor for exceptions must be placed inside the try block. In the program, the statement int a equal to 42 divided by d is throwing exception in the main method, and this statement depends on another statement, that is int d equal to 0. Therefore, these two statements are placed inside the try block. In other words, these are the two statements which we want to monitor for exception and are placed inside the try block, right? Try is a keyword and it begins with opening brace and ends with closing brace. Any exception that occurs in try block must be caught. This can be done using catch block. Catch is a keyword and it begins with opening brace and ends with closing brace. Inside the parenthesis of catch block, we need to specify the exception type that has thrown in the try block, followed by variable name, that is e. Since in the try block an object of type arithmetic exception is thrown, we specified exception type as arithmetic exception, and this object is assigned to a variable e. Right? Yeah. Some important things we need to remember about catch block. For every try block, we must have at least one catch block. And catch block should be written immediately after the try block. In other words, there should not be any statements between try and catch block. Right? Yeah. So let me remove all these markings and let me add few system.out.println statements inside the program. One system.out.println statement I have added inside the try block, that is after the statement int a equal to 42 divided by d. Next, system.out.println statement I have added inside the catch block, then after the catch block, right? Now, if I run the program, we get the following output, right? In this output, arithmetic exception is not displayed. Can you tell why? Can you think? Arithmetic exception is not displayed because inside our program we have handled arithmetic exception using try and catch block. Yes, so that's why in the output it is not displaying arithmetic exception, right? Yeah. And one more thing we can observe in this output, this will not be printed is missing. Can you think why? Whenever a particular statement throws an exception inside the try block, control immediately jumps to the catch block, and statements inside the catch block gets executed, and control does not go back to the try block, but statements after the catch block gets executed, right? Yeah. So that's why we are getting this output. I hope you understood, right? Yeah. Finally, I would like to summarize. An exception is an object that describes an exceptional condition that has occurred in a piece of code. Java runtime system creates an object representing the exception, and it is thrown in the method that caused the error. To handle exceptions in our program, we need to use try and catch block. Try block monitors the program statements that might throw exception. Catch block catches the exception that is thrown by its corresponding try block, right? Yeah. Consider the following program. If you run the program, it throws following exception. Now, we need to handle this exception in our program. In order to do that, let me ask few questions with respect to this program. That is, which statement is throwing exception, and where exception is thrown, what type of exception is thrown, how to handle exception. Pause the video for 1 minute and answer these questions. These 4 questions are very important, which we need to ask whenever we want to handle exceptions in the program. In order to answer these questions, let me analyze the output. The output says arithmetic exception has occurred at line number 7 because at line number 7 main method which is present in class exe1 is calling subroutine method, and this subroutine method which is present in class exe1 is throwing exception at line number 4. Note, when you are reading exception output, read from outside to inside. That is, begin from at exe1.main and then move to next statement inside it. Let me read it again. At line number 7, main method which is present in class exe1 is calling subroutine method, and this subroutine method which is present in class exe1 is throwing exception at line number 4, and the exception thrown is arithmetic exception, and division by 0 describes why arithmetic exception has occurred, that is due to division by 0. Right? Now, let me cross verify what I have said is correct with respect to our program. In class exe1, we have two methods. One is subroutine method and other is main method. Let me add line numbers to the program. At line number 7, main method is calling subroutine method, and control jumps inside the subroutine method, and statement int a equal to 42 divided by d at line number 4 is throwing arithmetic exception. Right? Yeah. Now, let me answer the questions. Question number 1. Which statement is throwing exception? The statement int a equal to 42 divided by d is throwing exception. Question number 2. Where exception is thrown? It is thrown inside the subroutine method, since the statement int a equal to 42 divided by d, which is throwing exception, is present in subroutine method. Question number 3. What type of exception is thrown? Arithmetic exception, which is subclass of exception, is thrown because division by 0 is an arithmetic error. Question number 4. How to handle exception? To handle exceptions, we use try and catch block. Right? Now, let me place the statements int d equal to 0, int a equal to 42 divided by d inside the try block. And for this try block, we write corresponding catch block which catches the exception that is thrown from the try block, that is arithmetic exception. Note, arithmetic exception can be replaced by exception because arithmetic exception is subclass of exception. Right? Now, let me remove try and catch block. Can you think what's going to happen now? Here, subroutine method is not handling arithmetic exception. Therefore, exception is passed to the main method. Since main method is called the subroutine method. Now, it is the job of main method to handle exception, that is arithmetic exception. If main method does not handle exception, then default handler catches the exception and program halts its execution. So let us see how main method can handle exception. Main method, in order to handle exception, just we need to place the try block inside the subroutine method. And then we need to write corresponding catch block to catch the exception. That's all, right? Finally, I would like to summarize what we have discussed. There are two ways to handle exception in this program. One way is placing try and catch block inside the subroutine method, and other way is placing try and catch block inside the main method. If we do not handle exception in either way, then default handler will catch the exception and halts the execution of the program. Next, arithmetic exception can be replaced by exception class because arithmetic exception is subclass of exception. Next slide. Benefits of using try and catch block. It allows us to fix the error. It prevents the program from automatically terminating. I think that's what we have discussed, right? I hope you enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Please do subscribe.